Welcome back to Foodie.
Hey y'all, welcome back to foodiebz. It's Brittany here, and I am here to show you another easy recipe. So today we're going to make the baked spaghetti. And we're just going to get started. As you see, I'm using gluten-free noodles, but you can use whatever kind of noodles you want. We got the sweet Italian sausage, and also we're using turkey ground meat. So if you want to use beef, you can do that as well. Use what you got. You'll see that I use different kind of cheese and everything other than what I would usually use, but that's what we had, so use what you have. But all right, we're just going to start by filling up the pot here. And we're probably going to fill it up probably right up under that silver little knob there that's on the inside. And once we do that, we're just going to, turn the knob to about medium heat and put that water on that stove there. Just let that boil. All right, and then of course we're just going to put some salt in there. Now usually I don't measure how much salt goes in there, but for the purposes of this video I did go ahead and measure it, and because since I was cooking with gluten-free noodles, I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess them up because sometimes they don't come out right. So that was about a half a tablespoon of salt. So a lot of salt, but hey, that's what noodles need. And yeah, so now I actually turned up the heat on to high so that I could go ahead and boil while I start on the meat. And we're going to use about a tablespoon of butter to put in the pan, and we're just going to turn that to medium heat as well and get our meat going. Alright, so you see we got the turkey meat in there, and then we're gonna put that sausage meat in there, and we're gonna like work it in real good. You're gonna see that I'm gonna cut it up, and then we're just gonna start, kind of not hammering it, but working it in, because one thing that I don't like, that I see some people do, that I try not to do, I don't like big chunks of meat. So you know how it cooks down and the meat kind of clumps together? Well, to avoid that, I kind of try to like chop it real good. But before we do that, of course, we'll have our seasonings, and I use the same seasonings all the time. I use salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and Cajun seasoning. So that's usually what I use. I think I'm going to actually just put it all into one bottle so I don't have to keep taking out 5 bottles just to do this, and just call it my own little seasoning mix there. But yeah, but like I said, I'm just going to keep chopping that meat up, and we're going to get it going. All right, so I have like this half of onion. It's not even really a half onion, but we're just gonna dice that up really small, not too small, but small enough so that we can mix it in with our meat to kind of just flavor that meat a little bit more. Even though we put in onion powder, we want to put in actual onions in there to just give it that kind of fresh onion flavor. And we're just going to scoop that in there. It's a little messy, but we're getting it in. And we're just going to kind of mix that all in there until it's real good there. All right, and we're just gonna let that brown like that there. I hate my lighting in this frame, but yeah, it looks gray, but it's actually brown. I just need better lighting. But so we're just gonna go ahead and turn that off, and then we are gonna check on our boiling water, and we see it is boiling. So we're gonna go ahead and break those noodles in there. So with the noodles, I like to break them into the pot and half them. I don't really like to keep them whole and let it kind of melt into the water, if that makes sense. I like to break them in there and for all of the noodles to cook evenly at one time. And then of course I'm just going to take this spoon here that keeps the noodles separated and just kind of make sure that those don't stick there and they get all into that water, and let that boil. So when I let things boil, I do put on a top for about 2 minutes Putting on a top to me actually helps it to boil faster, but we're not going to leave that top on there. We're just going to let it come to a boil again, and then we're going to take it off. But with the meat, we are going to go ahead and strain that. Just kind of give it a shake. Make sure all those juices are out of there, because we're going to have plenty of juices with the marinara sauce. All right, and then we're just going to check our noodles, and those are boiling. So like I said, we're just going to take that top off, and we're going to actually take it down to about medium heat, and just let those finish cooking for about 6 to 8 minutes. We don't want to make them soggy, so just al dente, 6 to 8 minutes, because we will be putting this in the oven, so it's going to bake more. All right, and then we're going to just take our meat and put that right back into the pan, because we're going to start mixing in our sauce with it now and making all the magic come together. All right, so I am using tomato basil marinara sauce. Usually I use garlic, but they didn't have it, so I used this, but it worked out perfectly. But also you see, as I'm using the rotel dip, and that's just no salt added. I didn't want the regular one, so I'm using that. And I'm just going to turn it down to about low heat, and we're going to go ahead and put those sauces in there. And I put it to low heat because I don't want the meat continually cooking, and as you see, the sauce is just going to continue to simmer the whole time until it's ready to come off the pan. So we're going to use this whole bottle, and as you'll see, I am going to actually use 1 3/4 bottles, so pretty much 2 bottles of that sauce. It got the meat coated with the 1 bottle, but then when I put it in with the noodles, it wasn't enough, so I'm going to need 2 bottles of that sauce. And this is 1 pound of turkey meat and 1 pound of the Italian sausage there. So, and I'll try to have all of this in the description bar. If I don't, please feel free to remind me, and I can put it in there for you to make it a little bit easier to reference back. All right, and now we're just going to actually drain the juice from the rotel. The rotel is basically just chopped up tomatoes, and the one that I have, I believe, has green chilies in it, which added so much flavor, because I didn't want to chop up bell peppers, so I just used this, but I did drain that excess juice. And as you see, I didn't put all the rotel in there. I just wanted to kind of see what it would do first, so I mixed that up. But I actually do go ahead and use that whole bottle, so you can put it all in at this point, but you'll see that later that I went ahead and just added the rest that I left out. I'm just going to taste it, and I do add throughout this process, I add more onion powder. I think I added more garlic, and I would add more black pepper. So I think I did that twice. I did it here, and I also do it after I mix the meat in with the noodles. I'll do it again, but I'm not sure if I actually showed it in this video. But just taste it, see what you like, and if you need more of whatever, just add it in there and make it to your own liking. All right, so I'm actually going to turn the noodles off, and they're ready, and I'm just going to make sure all of that is separated, and then we're going to go ahead and drain all of that water into the same colander that we drained the meat. So yeah. And then from here, I am going to take about a tablespoon slice of butter and mix it in. Now, usually I would do this in the pot, but I was kind of moving fast at this point because everybody was hungry. But you can actually put the noodles back into the pan and then, or the pot, and then go ahead and mix in this butter if you would like. We're just going to take the ground beef that we mixed up with the sauce and pour all of that in there. We're going to mix it up real good, and of course turn that eye off. Had to show that because some people forget. But yeah, just mix all that up, and this is where you'll see that it's not red enough, it's not juicy. So I did go in and add the rest of that bottle, and I'll show you how much I actually put in of it if you do want to know that. But I would go ahead and just put in 2 whole bottles. After I saw how much I actually left, I was like, I could have just added this in. So especially since you're baking it, you do want the spaghetti to be kind of juicy, because some of those juices will be soaked up into the meat and the noodles after it's baking. So go ahead and just use 2 whole bottles and you're good to go. And of course, that rest of that rotel that I was talking about, which is like nothing. And I'm sorry, y'all, if y'all hear me like drinking this water that I have right here. I hope that's not all up in the video, but yeah, just mix that up together. And there I am showing you how much I have left. I don't know why I didn't just use the whole thing. But I went ahead and preheated my oven to 350 and just let that heat up. And I will actually pour the spaghetti into a 9x11 pan, I believe this is, or 9x12. It's one of those. You know, you can see what it is. But I did line it with foil because I did not want the spaghetti sticking. But if you do have a non-stick or ceramic pan, you probably don't have to do this. Just make sure you butter the pan real good. But I would probably still do it to just cut back on the mess. But you know, do what you feel like. But yeah, I just kind of even out that spaghetti all over so that it's even throughout. And then we'll start sprinkling the cheese all over. And usually with the cheese, I'll actually mix it into the spaghetti while I'm laying it out in the pan. But because my children were also eating this, I didn't want too much. They don't take too well to dairy, so I didn't want to like douse it with a whole bunch of cheese. Even the cheese that I put on top is not the amount that I would usually put. Usually I would put way more cheese than this. Throughout the week when we were actually eating the spaghetti, whenever I would take it out, I would actually put more cheese on there to melt it back down on there. So yeah, put cheese on top to your liking, but I would actually recommend coating it a little bit more than I did here, and it'll be so good, I promise you. Then we're just gonna stick that in the oven there, and I believe we're gonna cook it. I set it for 20 minutes. I would recommend keeping it in there for about 15 at least, but I actually took it out at 10. Like I said, the family was hungry, so I had to go ahead and speed it up. But after that 10 minutes, I did broil it for about 4 minutes. Yeah, it was about 5 minutes. Just broil it on high for 5 minutes to kind of let that cheese really melt on the top after you finish baking it, and it's going to be perfect, good to go. So that's ready, as you can see, and that's how it's going to look. And I'm just going to take out a little scoop here and put it on my plate to eat. And I love to add, of course, Parmesan and a little bit of parsley on top. And it is so, I promise y'all, this is the easiest, most delicious spaghetti recipe. I'm sure there's an easier one out there, but you know, I'll try to figure out that one, and if I find an easier one, I'll make another video. But this is it. I hope you liked it. These are my little pictures at the end. They're not the best, but that's pretty much how it looks. It tastes better than it looks, like I always say. That's all that matters. But yes, please guys, I hope you liked it. Thank you so very much for liking the video. I hope you subscribe to the channel for more of these easy recipes and just fun with food. And yes, I hope you stay joyful, stay loving, and stay stress-free. And until next time, bye guys.